Here right now, we are 1 week away from Election Day, and former President Trump over the weekend held a massive rally at Madison Square Garden in the center of New York City. And at that rally, something that really overshadowed his speech, what really stole the headlines, were multiple speakers making multiple racist and offensive remarks aimed at Latinos, Black Americans, Jews, and other groups. You hear these remarks, you hear what some have called jokes. They didn't sound like jokes. What's your response?
I agree. I don't think they necessarily sound like jokes. Maybe if you were in a comedy club, sure, but you were at a political rally. People can say, you know what, this isn't what the president believes, and the campaign was quick to come out with a statement following that comedian's remarks. However, you have to vet people in order to come to these rallies, right? It doesn't mean you know every single thing they've ever done in their whole entire life. You're doing a quick social media search, you're Googling them, you're seeing the type of humor or personality or whatever it is that they feel. And so that was such an unforced error on the campaign's part. They never should have done that. I think they should have taken more responsibility for it rather than just be like, oh, he doesn't agree with this, because they were invited to speak on his behalf. So essentially, them being there is an endorsement of the things that they believe in too.
To your point, that did seem like an unforced error. Was this a distraction to the Trump campaign? Was this potentially an October surprise? Would this turn off voters that are on the fence?
We always talk about an October surprise, and I was waiting for something, the hat to drop, or excuse me, another shoe to drop. This is a little bit of a surprise. I think if the folks were already planning to vote for him, I don't know that this necessarily changes their minds, but you're right, there's those folks who are on the fence that perhaps they're kind of waiting until the last minute to decide where to vote, and this can be something to deter them. I don't think this necessarily brings more people into the fold when you offend, all these different demographics and voting blocks. I could be wrong, but I don't think he really did anything to win friends with this MSG rally.
And it's really interesting because Donald Trump in this election season has really made inroads with Latino voters, particularly Latino men. And as you and I have discussed, this race is really coming down to those 7 battleground states. And in Pennsylvania specifically, where among the 7 swing states that has the most electoral votes, over 3.5% of the population is Puerto Rican. And there was a joke where they called it a joke at the rally when a comedian said that Puerto Rico was a floating island of garbage. If you're one of those voters, does this have the potential to sway the race? Are you concerned that this turns off that part of the electorate?
I do think that this has a potential to sway some of those voters against Trump, but you also have to keep in mind kind of what we talked about earlier, the comedian, right, saying these comments. Yes, like he was the one who said these comments. We have to recall that earlier in the week, Trump called the U.S. a dumping ground and a garbage can. So it's not like this rhetoric is, unknown to MAGA and Trump, right? And so, yeah, I think when you have a comedian up on stage who says all of these sort of crazy things in a capacity where it is not a comedy club, I do think that's problematic for the Trump campaign. And I think they should be doing more to reach back out to those voters and make it clear that, that's not how they feel. However, they have one statement. I don't think that they're going to double down on that.